Hey guys, we started a perennial garden from scratch. We're talking from 0 plants to over 500 plants for less than $1,000. We're talking like 300 perennials from seed, over 200 annuals from seed, as well as probably about 20 or so bushes from bluestone perennial, all for less than $1,000. We'd love to take you on a tour and show you how we did it. At the end of this video, I will give you a rough estimate of what we think we saved by starting all of our plants from seed. We started on this garden last September. If you remember, we came out with a video around September time called The Before, where we did an inventory of this yard and we talked about sort of the vision for it. Well, guys, the vision has been realized and we want to give you a tour of what we did, how we did it, and what's going well, what's going not so well. So we wanted to give you a full tour of the after. So if you want to see the before video, you can click on the link and then watch the after right now. This is our before and after of this perennial garden that we started from mostly seed. All right, guys, we're going to start here on the patio. So what we did here is the patio is nice and large. It's great, but we wanted to extend the space a little bit, give them a little bit more hosting space while still being able to enjoy plants. And then we also thought if they wanted a veggie garden, it was most likely that they'd harvest and take care of the annual veggie garden if it was up close to the house. So it's kind of a permaculture idea. You want the thing you're going to access the most, the daily thing closest to the house, and then the things you need to access less go further out. So that's kind of the principle behind this. So on either side, we've got 2 large raised beds. We've got some smaller raised beds, as well as some pots. And so what we have in here is we've got their lettuce. They're going to access daily. Lettuce is almost to the end of its life here. They'll probably rip it out soon. And so once the lettuce is done, we have planned the next basically succession, which is going to be in here. We've got peppers, and then over on the other side, we're going to do the zucchini, the summer squash. And then over here, as you can see, this is still a work in progress. We've got some zinnias and portulaca, and then this pot right here that's covered in wood is going to be a fountain that we'll build, and we'll do a video of that once we build it. You can see we did the rock all around, and over here they've got their nice seating area where they can enjoy pots of zinnias and portulaca. So you've got, practical veggies up close, but also they get to enjoy some beautiful flowers as they're sitting at their table. So that's the patio area. All right, so this area is still under a little bit of construction. It's a short walk from the house, and this is going to be and is their squash bed. So we actually have cabbage and squashes. So we've got some pumpkins, we've got zucchini, we've got some butternut squash, some bok choy. So that's kind of what's in here. And then in the back, there's 5 rows of sunflowers, as well as some feverfew. They'll just like sit at their table and look over here and see all the beautiful sunflowers and the feverfew. Feverfew is perennial and will come back next year. Sunflowers are annual, so that'll be something we plant every year if they like it and want to continue. In this area, this is more of a fruit area. We were thinking it would be a seeding area, but they decided they want more fruit, so they planted some blueberries back here. There's a pear tree, and then you've got an apple tree right here. So this area is also still kind of in progress of what we want it to look like in the end. So we'll see how the blueberries do and if we need to add some flowers to fill out the space. All right, guys, behind me is the main perennial garden. So this is the area that we focused on the most. So it's what you can see right when you walk out into the backyard, and it's got the majority of the perennials with a few annuals to fill in the space that we'll fill in with perennials next year. But this is mostly the perennial garden. So I'm going to walk you through how we did it. So here we have the structure of the garden. To start, we did a terrace. So we've got this gabion wall we built, and it's not doing too bad. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. When we started this project, the succulent that's on the wall was actually already here, and it happened to be pretty much where we put the wall, and so it actually survived, believe it or not, and has come back and is growing in the wall. So our goal would be eventually the entire wall is held in place by these plants, which will also help with erosion and water retention. That's actually coming along beautifully. As you can see, I think this succulent is just loving the heat of the rocks. So we're super happy with that. The rest of the garden structure is you have a bed that runs along the back that we did raspberries and comfrey, borage, echinacea, yarrow. So that's what we're calling our biodynamic accumulator bed. So you've got yarrow, borage, comfrey. Those are all plants that are just going to help the overall health of the garden, drawing up good nutrients from the soil for the rest of the plants and attracting pollinators. So that's the back bed. On top here, before you get to the wall, we just have beds that run along, and each one has its focal points and its design, so it's all very symmetrical, and I'll walk you through that. And then down below, you've got the beds on the slope. And running through all of it, you've got pathways. So one of the things about a perennial garden is, in any garden really, you don't want to walk on the ground too much. And so we've designed it where you can access any point of the bed from a pathway or from the grass or from the wall. And so there's really no reason for you to need to walk on the actual bed itself, once especially the bigger bushes are planted. So everything's been planted. There's really no reason other than to like lean in and pull out a weed for anyone to be needing to go near the beds. The interesting thing about this yard was it was completely rock, but they still had a sprinkler system. I don't know what it was watering, but they had one. Taylor's dad has taken all the different sprinkler heads and converted them to be a softer spray, so they're not like, you know, hitting the plants with hard water and killing them. And so this entire garden is watered through a sprinkler system, which is such a great low maintenance feature of this garden. That's been a big goal for us, is that this garden would sort of run itself a little bit and not require too much upkeep and maintenance, which is why we went for the perennial route. So we're pretty happy about that. My in-laws can leave, go away for the weekend, go away for a trip, and not worry about their garden. So that's been also a huge win through this process. All right, so right here, this is the middle beds, the upper one and the lower one. So when you walk out of the house, this is the first thing you see. And so we did Russian sage in the back with duetzia, as well as some lupin for the springtime and yarrow. So we've got quite a bit of different things throughout. You've got the raspberries right behind. And then in this front bed here, this is sort of a mix of annuals and perennials. So because it's a focal point bed, I thought it would be fun to sort of have options in this bed as the years go on. So it's got some perennial yarrow, I've got perennial echinacea, and as well as Cupid start. But then there's some annuals in here. We've got the cosmos, we've got zinnias, and we have portobello. So there's quite a mix, so that in the next couple of years, as Taylor's parents are enjoying the garden and they want to switch something out, they totally can, and they can add a different annual in that they love, or we can add in perennials next year where those annuals were. So that's the focal point bed. On the sides, we did some beautiful bushes. So we've got a beautiful peony, as well as some beautiful asters, and then some butterfly bushes. And these butterfly bushes are bred specifically to not spread seed or spread its plant. So butterfly bush is invasive in Washington, but these are specifically genetically designed to not be invasive, which I'm really excited about, because butterfly bushes bloom for a very long season, and so they're kind of the better version of lilacs. I think that might be controversial. I love lilacs, but lilacs only bloom for 2 weeks in the spring, and butterfly bushes will hopefully bloom most of the summer. So that's why we chose them. And then down here we've got a verbena, as well as a few of the annuals we put in were dahlias. So I had some dahlia seedlings from last year that I really liked and saved the tubers. And then we also have in this bed, I think this is bee balm, as well as some annual rudbeckia that I'm hoping will self-seed and come back next year and be more of like a perennial rudbeckia. So we went for the symmetrical route. So on this side you have the exact same bed, 2 beds as you have over on that side. And then over here, these beds are slightly different because on that side you have the apple tree, and so this one's a little bit different. But we got a hydrangea in here, and up there we got more Cupid start, cosmos, lupins, lots of echinacea, lavender. I started lavender from seed and they're doing awesome. 2 plants that aren't doing as great so far, well, there's 3. So the 3 plants that aren't doing great so far, bee balm, and I think that I'm just struggling with bee balm in general this year, but I think it might have just been too small. I just got lost. And agastache, also probably just too small, wasn't quite ready to be planted out. Those are 2 plants I'm definitely going to try again next year and see if I can figure them out. But that's been the big disappointment. I tried bee balm and agastache probably 3 times this year, and a few of them are making it, but not very many. The 3rd one I'll show you in a minute, but that's my dahlia seedlings. So I'll show you that. So over here we've got feverfew and some agastache. So those are the perennials, feverfew up there. My mother-in-law really loves asters, and so this is an annual aster, but it will be beautiful. So maybe next year she'll want them again, or we'll put a perennial here next year. Up here we've got another hydrangea. We've got hostas. So this whole area is very shaded under the tree, and so we opted in for just doing hostas and borage. Here we've got a rose of Sharon or hibiscus, and then more echinacea, lavender, cosmos, feverfew, all that. And then finally over here we've got these 2 beds right here. These are annuals, so this is my dahlia seedlings. So I saved seeds from my dahlias last year, so I have hundreds of seeds. And so I started the dahlia seedlings and I planted them out, and they're really just not doing great. But the dahlia seedlings at our house are also not doing great, so it could be the season or just something about our area's soil conditions that the dahlia seedlings just don't like. So not quite sure what's going on there, but hopefully some of them will make it. We'll see. I was really hoping that they would all make it and it'd be this incredible pollinator corner, but we'll see. The way we made these beds is we scraped all the rock off. And then we did a layer of cardboard over everything. And then on each area that we wanted beds, we spread just a little bit of compost. So we actually didn't have that much compost. In some beds, we only had manure. So we spread manure in some of these beds. And then where the pathways are, there are 2 giant trees here where the stump had been ground out. And so it actually left a ton of wood chips. So all the pathways are from this garden, which is really cool. We did some tiles so that you can walk on the pathways barefoot. That was one of the wishes of the Taylor's parents, that they could walk in the garden barefoot. So I've got these tiles. And then what we did, because we didn't have that much compost, we mulched these beds before there was any plants in them. We mulched these beds with straw, like a thick amount of straw. We put so much straw that you couldn't see the compost or the cardboard beneath it. And that was probably the best thing that we did. If you this September are thinking about your next year's garden and you have a spot that you want to put a garden, put a layer of cardboard down, put even the smallest layer of dirt to hold the cardboard down, and then mulch it heavily with straw so that you can't see, because underneath that straw, so many good things are going to happen as it rains on it and snows wherever you are. If you get snow or just rain, the cardboard will start to break down and lots of little microbes will start to be able to live because it's protected from the sun and the harsh elements. That was probably the best thing that we did. When I went in to plant, the ground was soft, it was moist, there was great water retention, and it was super easy to just put my shovel in and then pop the little plant in because the soil had just retained all that moisture from the winter that had rained and snowed on it. So that's our recommendation for how to create really great garden beds over the winter. use straw or some kind of really good mulch. Currently, we have this temporary fence up. It's not the most beautiful, but that's okay because it's temporary. Our in-laws have dogs, cute tiny little dogs. You've probably seen them in videos. And then we also have our sweet children with their very busy tiny little feet. And so we needed these perennial plants to be established and hardy before we let all those animals and children loose. So this temporary fence has been working great. Been keeping the kids out for sure. Been so-so with the dogs, but yeah, just giving our plants the best chance possible to survive. All right, so like I said, we started most of this garden from seed, and this was for economical reasons, as well as I love to start plants from seed. One echinacea plant could be on the cheap end, $15, and we planted, I don't know, over 20 to 30 echinacea plants. So if you think about buying a seed packets are about $5 to $6 for high quality seeds, which is what we bought. And then you think about, you know, $6 plus potting soil plus your time. I still think you're saving money, even if you were, you know, to spend a lot on your potting soil or it took you a lot of time. $15 per plant is a lot and adds up really fast. And that's just echinacea. If you're starting just a lot of seeds, your time is, you know, more effective. I think that starting echinacea, Cuban star, yarrow especially, there's no reason you should ever have to buy yarrow as a plant. Yarrow is so easy to start from seed. The things that we did buy as plants were bushes, shrubs, so you know, our asters, our hydrangeas, verbena, the peonies we needed to buy. So those types of things you're just going to have to buy if you plan them, but we tried to plan the majority of the perennial garden to be able to start from seed so that we could save that money. So we've got all that stuff started from seed. Annuals we kind of added in later as we were starting perennial seeds and realizing, oh, this one isn't working out, or I didn't get as many as I was hoping for. We added the annuals in because annuals are just very easy to start from seed. As well as I had just a large stock of dahlias and dahlia seeds, so I wanted to use those somewhere. So I think the only thing that we started from seed that I would consider buying as a plant would be bee balm and potentially agastache. They're both so beautiful, great hummingbird and bee attractors, and they're just really difficult to start from seed, or at least for me. I'm doing something wrong. I definitely want to try that again. That's kind of the gist. I mean, sunflowers, zinnias, they're so easy to start from seed. There's no reason you should have to buy the plant. Cosmos, extremely easy to start from seed. So you can add in those sort of cottage garden feel plants, make it really beautiful. But yeah, I think the one thing that was really surprising to me this year was how easy it is to start echinacea from seed, especially if you do the paper towel method and you know exactly which ones have actually sprouted. So I highly recommend starting all your echinacea from seed for your perennial garden. That's the perennial garden. We are going to show you another tour later in August or September so you can see the progress, but that's what it looks like right now. We're super happy with how it turned out. So we planted it towards the mid-May, end of May, so it's been close to a month that it's been planted, and most things have survived and are just getting bigger, so that's a huge relief and really good sign. So we're super happy about how it all turned out. It was a massive project. Took almost, probably it was about a 9-month project in the end, and some things are not quite done. And so, I mean, that's the nature of projects, right? They always keep going. Super happy, very excited. For some perspective, we spent about $500 on the blue stem perennials, and that was about 20-ish plants, okay? So bulk of the budget went to the smallest amount of plants. This is why we started from seed. We spent probably $200 to $300 on seed itself because we had to buy some seed over again that just didn't work out the first time. So it was about $200 to $300 on seeds. And the potting soil was our homemade compost. We bought a bag of vermiculite and we got some free wool. So we spent very little on our potting soil. We bought some trays for our soil blocks, and then it was my time. It's not a completely free option to start your own seeds for sure. If you think about the fact that we planted about 300 perennials out there, even if they were all $15 for 300 plants, I mean, we could have spent $4,500 just on our perennial plants alone if we had opted for plants. I'd highly recommend you get your hands dirty, you learn how to start seeds, and you're going to save yourself a lot of money and have a beautiful garden in the end. So that is my recommendation. This is what I've learned. It is always worth starting seeds. You will never be disappointed. So yeah, happy seed starting, happy garden planting. Well, that's our perennial garden. Look forward to another tour later in the summer. If you liked this video, give us a like and subscribe to our channel.